On the 21st of January 2017, Yahya Jammeh finally left Gambian soil, heading for exile in Equatorial Guinea, the end of more than 22 years of undivided rule marked by violations of human rights, severe restrictions on the media and repression of the opposition. It all began several weeks before when, to everyone's surprise, the concrete president everyone thought was undefeatable was defeated in the polls by a near unknown Adama Barrow, the opposition coalition candidate. At first, Yahya Jammeh recognised his loss, but then he went back on it and tried to cling to power. It took all the diplomatic and military pressure of other countries in the region for him to agree in the end to eventually leave. And so then, on the 26th of January, Adama Barrow, who'd taken refuge in neighbouring Senegal, returned home triumphant.
There was a government here for 22 years. 22 years is a long time. And we are able to change the government after 22 years. So obviously, there will be a lot of challenges to look at all the system and make a complete overhaul. I think that is a big challenge to my new government.
Adama Barrow's arrival brought immense hope to the people of Gambia. He promised to rebuild the economy, reform justice, prisons, law enforcement, and former political opponents of the old regime have continued to return. A year after the promises, though, is the new Gambia living up to them? Will Sarah Sakho and Emmanuel Londe revisit Gambia for France 24?
We need justice now. We need justice now. We need justice now.
It's a powerful symbol. For the first time, activists commemorate the assassination of AIDARA, a journalist who embodied opposition to the Yahya Jammeh regime and whose murderers were never sentenced.
We need justice.
It's a march. If we'd wanted to do this last year, there would have been soldiers with Kalashnikovs trying to arrest us. But now we can march freely to celebrate the anniversary of the death of my father, AIDARA, who was assassinated by the dictator Yahya Jammeh.
What do you want?
Families of victims, journalists, human rights activists, all suffered under the former regime.
Justice. I'm glad that we are now able to commemorate the event in peace, but I'm still sad that some lives had to be lost to gain us this type of freedom.
What do you want? What do you want?
Yes, it's the new Gambia. We have our basic freedoms at least. Justice.
AMADOU JANNEH returned to the Gambia the same day Yahya Jammeh fled into exile. An academic and briefly former minister, he doesn't hide his political ambitions. He's well known to the Gambian people.
Yes, 2011, together with some colleagues, we set up a coalition for Change the Gambia. I distributed 100 T-shirts, but I was arrested and given a life sentence. I spent 15 months in jail, and then I was released and expelled from the country.
The victims of abuses committed under Yahya Jammeh have begun to speak up. This building houses a victim centre. AMADOU JANNEH is an advisor here. This morning, the team welcomes a former prisoner tortured by the fearsome intelligence agency.
They took me to their torture room. They dealt with me very, very badly until I got my teeth broken. Yes, these are made in America. And I have some other experiences. Yes, so also my buttocks.
All that.
Yes.
Each testimony is carefully recorded.
Some of the information could be used. Lawyers would find a way to make it relevant to cases that may come up for prosecution. We want to see Jammeh brought to justice.
More than 700 people have told their stories, hoping for legal action.
Detained, illegal.
There are certain people who connive and use, their authority dubiously against me or any other person. I want to see it like that. Something is done so that such an evil act wouldn't recur again.
Parliament has set up a commission to investigate their accounts of what happened, but it will be months before it starts to probe the allegations made. So far, only one trial has begun. Activists know that the court battle will be long, but for the victims, patience is wearing thin and hope is turning into anxiety.
Here's a person who was arrested under very dubious circumstances, and as a result, he lost his livelihood.
Asking this government to help me, that much is very difficult.
But you think they will do something?
For the feeding, definitely.
We realize that 22 years of repression under Jammeh cannot be changed overnight, but we're hoping they can speed up their process. We are not happy with the pace of things.
To show that the decades of repression are now over, President Adama Barrow has pardoned some 50% of the prisoners in the country and replaced the head of the prison administration. According to human rights organisations, prisoners were beaten and tortured behind the walls of the notorious Mile 2 prison. The authorities want to show that conditions have eased, but much remains to be done.
The odor coming from these cells is very unbearable, and this place should be either torn down, improved. Something should be done, because this thing is not fit for human habitation.
AMADOU JANNEH is a regular visitor to the prison. He's campaigning for the improvement of prisoner conditions. The detainees want to show him the state of the toilet.
Yeah, okay. There's one dedicated for people with TB patients, and then the other two. For the whole building, there's only 2 or 3 working, and you could see the conditions. There's a lot to be done to improve those.
AMADOU is more than familiar with the facilities. He was held in this cell in 2012.
This is where you do everything. You put your excrement in a container, and you're allowed to go out 1 or 2 times a day, depending on the time, and empty it in one of the toilet areas. Basically, you are in this small space with your excrement.
The prison guards are the same, only the rules have changed.
So you know everyone?
Yeah, this was a strict one, eh? Yeah, this one was a strict one. Sukuteriano, Adafix. Sukuta ningunju reala.
The prison's head of operations wants to talk about the changes he's made, but he makes no mention of the mistreatment of the past.
Definitely things have improved, Mr. Jammeh. We have changed the living conditions. This is regarding their food and the time they spend outside on rest. We don't have executive orders like before, but even with that, officers like us, we are very careful with the way we go with human beings, because this country is a small country. We are all like a family.
Denied for so long, the people of the Gambia are now relishing the freedom of expression. It's by far the biggest change to have happened. Few things illustrate this better than the case of FATOU Touré. Back from exile, she's now the host of a very successful TV debate show. She and her team, Ole and Nyang, have come to check out this grand hotel in the capital as a future location shoot for her show.
We can do something like have our setup here, right here, right? And then we have the pool like in the background like this.
The trio have created an upbeat and mischievous concept. a first in the Gambia.
We want to show it a different. That's why it's the #1 show on television, because we're doing it differently. We don't want to just confine ourselves to the studio.
No, but no, that's not the reason why it's the #1 show.
It's one of the reasons.
No, the reason why it's the #1 show, you have the best and brightest this country has to offer. And I'm sorry, you know, look.
Oh my God.
The tone is light, but KERR FATOU, their television program, has been a mini revolution on national television.
One-sided.
The guests on this show are members of the APRC, former President Yahya Jammeh's party, and the new opposition. It's one of the highlights for the presenters.
To have the APRC party sit on a platform with people and be, ask questions, and they answered, they expressed themselves. I really enjoyed it.
When I was editing that show, right, I said to myself, I don't think this show will be aired. The APRC people spoke, their mind. They said so many things about the government, how they felt, and I personally did not think that was going to be aired, and it was aired. But I was really.
But FATOU, next year before March.
Yeah.
FATOU makes the most of the freedom, off-air as well. We meet her at the latest trendy hotspot. This moment between friends may seem trivial, but here it's something new.
Yes, it's okay. Back in the day, really, people were careful of this kind of gatherings because you are scared, you don't know who is there, you're having a loose conversation, who gets to pick up what you're saying, and you don't know where that ends. Oh my God. She's been away for 5 years. So for the first time in the new Gambia, she's coming, and we have to hang.
It feels good. It feels good. It's not just seeing the aftermath, like everything happens, boom. No, it's just step by step. And I think right now, Gambia, we have learned to crawl, and now we're trying to walk. So watch us run. That's what's next.
President Adama Barrow has renewed relations with the international community and secured pledges for aid. Inflation is under control, the currency stabilised, justice is undergoing reform, and he prides himself on restoring freedom of expression. But the economic challenges remain, and in the streets of Banjul, small corner shops and groups of idle young people, nothing has changed. The smallest country on the continent is also one of the poorest. When it took office, the government claimed the country was ruined. The state coffers were emptied by Yahya Jammeh, who is accused by the Ministry of Justice of embezzling more than $50 million. Since then, the former president's assets have been frozen. A commission of inquiry is still going through his use of public funds with a fine-tooth comb. The Minister of Information admits that the situation is difficult.
There have been some grants from development partners, for example, the European Union and the other development partners. We've got a little bit of money, but we are still struggling with the economy, definitely. Yeah. Patience is what we ask them to do. So give us a chance. We are working on things, and very soon things will be better.
But some are becoming impatient, especially young people. Like every afternoon, Ali and Aruna are making tea on a street corner for want of anything better to do.
We expect to hear much from them for the youth, because the youth need job. Yeah, 100% of youth are outside there, no job for them. Like me also, there is no job for me.
The energy and power now is not going well, because always we go off, on and off. Maybe we'll see changes later, because it's a one year now. So maybe we'll see changes later.
While waiting for the development promised by the authorities, some have begun to reclaim property that was illegally appropriated by Yahya Jammeh, especially in rural areas. Like AMADOU JANNEH, a human rights activist, who is on his way to Gunjur, his native village west of Banjul.
Yes, part of my land was taken by Yahya Jammeh. He just extended his fence to encroach on it without any legal process. So after the demise of his regime, I simply went and reclaimed the property.
And this is why the land was fenced off and confiscated from residents. This huge mosque was built in the middle of nowhere by Yahya Jammeh for his personal use.
Jammeh knew the place was regarded as a sacred site, so I assume he believed by seizing it, he can keep the prayers to himself.
Over several kilometers, small subsistence farms have reappeared.
Rice, okra, bisap. Now we plant what we want to plant. Before we had to plant whatever they said to.
Now that the Gambia has firmly turned the page on Yahya Jammeh, the people are asking, what next? Will the government meet their expectations, or is disappointment on the way? A year after its establishment, questions still remain on the future of the new Gambia.
Sarah Sakho and Emmanuel Londe revisiting Gambia for France 24. Well, that's all from this week's edition. Don't forget, of course, you can catch it and all the other editions as well on our website at france24.com. More news coming up very shortly. Do stay with us.